Assaulting a wall during a siege was among the deadliest tasks in ancient warfare. But climbing the first ladder? That was near suicide. The initial soldiers ascending faced a storm of arrows, falling stones, boiling oil, and spears hurled from above. Even if they survived the climb, a line of defenders waited at the top, ready to cut them down or hurl them back into the void. Yet despite these horrific odds, warriors across the ancient and medieval world didn't just volunteer for this role, they competed for it. They fought each other for the privilege of being first to face almost certain death. In this episode, we examine why Roman soldiers were willing to scale the walls first, what drove them to risk everything for this brutal distinction, and how one such climb could transform a common soldier into a legend. Dawn breaks over a besieged city to the blare of war horns. At the base of massive stone walls, a line of Roman legionaries hefts their siege ladders, bracing for the command to charge. One man stands at the forefront, Marcus, a battle-scarred centurion with a determined set to his jaw. He knows exactly what it means to be first up the ladder. The survival rate is abysmal. Arrows will target him specifically. Defenders will focus all their fury on stopping him. If he reaches the top, he'll face overwhelming numbers alone. And yet, in his chest burns a fierce resolve. High above, defenders shout taunts and loose arrows downward. Marcus barely registers the hiss of missiles. His eyes are fixed on the ramparts and the enemy standard fluttering there. In his mind, he pictures a golden crown shaped like a fortress wall, the coveted Corona Muralis, Rome's highest honor for the first man to breach an enemy's defenses. It's an award so rare that most legionaries never see one given. An honor that can transform a soldier into a living legend, opening doors to wealth, political power, and immortal fame. Forward! The trumpet sounds and Marcus lunges ahead with a roar, ladder balanced on his shoulder. All around him, Roman soldiers sprint across the killing ground, shields raised overhead against the storm of projectiles. Almost instantly, men cry out and fall as enemy missiles find their marks. Marcus's own shield bucks violently as a heavy stone smashes into it, nearly knocking him off balance. He staggers, teeth clenched, but he does not stop. Step by step he closes the distance to the wall, adrenaline drowning out fear. Behind him, more legionaries carry additional ladders, but Marcus reaches the base first. With a grunt of effort, he raises his ladder and slams it against the stone battlements. Thump! The ladder's iron-shod hooks catch on the parapet edge. Heart pounding, Marcus begins to climb. Up he goes, rung by rung, exposed and vulnerable. Immediately he becomes the prime target for every defender above. Arrows whistle past his ears. A javelin hurtles down and grazes his thigh, drawing blood. Marcus does not look down. He climbs, each upward thrust of his arms fueled by a mix of terror and exhilaration. On the wall above, enemy soldiers rush to intercept this lone attacker. One defender raises a heavy spear and with a grunt heaves it straight down at Marcus. The spear slams into his shield with bone-shaking force, piercing completely through. Marcus's left arm buckles under the impact. He yanks the ruined shield off and lets it fall. Nothing will stop him now. With his shield gone, he is frighteningly exposed. Unprotected, he keeps climbing, one hand hauling his body upward, the other gripping his short sword. The cold stone in front of him and the high ledge just within reach become his entire world. He hears shouts from behind, fellow Romans starting up other ladders, but he knows he is at the tip of the spear. If he can just get a foothold on that wall, if he can hold for even 30 seconds, the entire siege could be decided. Charging up a siege ladder into almost certain death was one of the most dangerous tasks in pre-gunpowder warfare, and ancient sources make the brutal mathematics clear. The first climber is terribly exposed. He ascends virtually unprotected while arrows, spears, and stones rain down on him. Defenders try to push the ladder away from the wall or overturn it entirely. And if he somehow survives the climb, multiple opponents await at the top, positioned to cut him down the instant his head appears over the parapet. A Roman historian described the nightmare: the attacker must ascend with minimal protection while projectiles rain down and enemy swords slash from above. Even if he manages to scramble onto the rampart, he faces overwhelming numbers trying to kill him or force him off the wall. It's no wonder that few men volunteered to go first. So why did anyone do it? The answer lies in understanding just how much Roman society valued military glory, and how the Corona Muralis could transform a soldier's entire life. This golden crown, fashioned to resemble a city wall's battlements, was one of the highest honors a Roman soldier could achieve. It was awarded to the first man who planted the Roman standard on an enemy rampart. The historian Aulus Gellius described it as pure gold adorned with miniature turrets, a badge of supreme courage visible to all. But the crown itself was just a symbol. What it represented was far more valuable. The recipient became an instant hero. He was celebrated by his legion, his name inscribed in military records, his deed recounted in taverns and forums across Rome. He received substantial financial rewards, often enough to set up his family for generations. And crucially, in a society where political and military careers were inseparable, military decorations served as stepping stones to higher office. To understand the impact, imagine someone today winning the Medal of Honor, instantly becoming globally famous, appearing in every media outlet, and becoming a leading contender in the next presidential election, while also receiving enough money to retire wealthy. That's the scale of transformation the Corona Muralis could provide. The entire family benefited. If a man received the Mural Crown and perhaps rose to higher office as a result, this elevated the social status of his entire gens, his extended family clan. The gens Trebelia, for instance, first appeared in history books when a centurion named Quintus Trebellius won the crown at the siege of New Carthage in 209 BC. His family then produced several important magistrates in the late Republic and early imperial period, including Marcus Trebellius Maximus, who became consul in 55 AD. One climb, one crown. An entire family's trajectory changed forever. But there's another factor that made this risk seem rational to Roman soldiers: the cultural psychology of honor. Roman society was characterized by military virtue to a degree almost unimaginable today. Honor, virtus in Latin, literally meaning manliness, had a tangible impact on a man's life and social standing. Virtus encompassed bravery, excellence, courage, and martial prowess, all considered essential masculine qualities. In this culture, military achievements were the primary means of demonstrating virtus to society. Awards like the Corona Muralis visibly showcased these accomplishments to everyone. They were proof, physical, undeniable proof, that you possessed the qualities that defined a man. The Roman historian Livy wrote of soldiers during sieges: the men dashed on in the face of wounds and missiles, and neither walls nor armed men standing on them can restrain them from vying with one another in the attempt to climb. They were competing. Actively competing for the chance to be first up the ladder, because the reward wasn't just survival, it was transformation from obscurity to legend. As Marcus climbs toward the battlements, all of this drives him forward. The thought of standing atop the wall, waving the Roman eagle as his comrades cheer below. The general proclaiming, "This man is the first over the wall." The mural crown placed on his head. The doors that would open. The future that would unfold. Perhaps he even recalls the famous dispute at New Carthage, where two Romans, centurion Quintus Trebellius and marine Sextus Digitus, both claimed to be first over the wall. Their argument grew so heated that their units nearly came to blows, legionaries versus marines, each side insisting their man deserved the crown. General Scipio ultimately decided both had climbed opposite sides simultaneously and awarded both the Corona Muralis. That's how much this mattered. Entire units were willing to fight each other over which of their men had earned it. Death was a real possibility. But the prize that beckoned was even greater. With a final burst of strength, Marcus reaches the top of the ladder. His helmeted head peeks over the parapet, and two enemy spearmen immediately lunge at him. Reacting on pure instinct, he ducks. A spear thrust skitters off the rim of his helmet with a metallic screech. In that split second, Marcus heaves himself over the lip of the wall and hurls his body onto the battlements. He lands hard on flagstones, immediately rolling to avoid a sword slash. He's made it. Marcus stands atop the wall, the first Roman of his legion to do so. But he is alone, surrounded by enemies who know exactly what he represents. What follows is a blur of desperate violence. One defender charges with a curved falcata sword. Marcus parries, feeling his arm tremble with the force of each blow. Another enemy swings an axe that catches his side, denting his cuirass and knocking the wind out of him. Marcus staggers but keeps his footing. He barks a wordless shout, part fury, part agony, and drives his sword straight into the axeman's chest. The man crumples. Immediately, more enemy soldiers press in. Marcus finds himself back to back with his legion standard-bearer, who by some miracle has climbed up seconds behind him, carrying the heavy eagle. They form a tiny, desperate foothold on the wall. Below them, other Romans on ladders are still several rungs away. Marcus and the Aquilifer must hold alone for those crucial moments. The defenders realize the danger. If these Romans establish a secure position, more will flood over like a dam breaking. A burly enemy captain lunges with a pike. Marcus bats it aside and slashes him across the thigh, sending the man toppling off the wall with a scream. But another blow comes, a sword strike from the side that cuts deep into his upper arm. He cries out, nearly dropping his weapon. The standard-bearer thrusts the eagle pole like a spear, fending off another attacker. It's 2 against many. Marcus's vision swims from pain and exhaustion. He's bleeding from multiple wounds, and the strength in his sword arm is fading. For an instant, time seems to slow. He wonders if this is how his life ends, a brief blaze of glory atop an enemy wall, snuffed out before anyone even knows he succeeded. But fate is kinder this day. Behind him, a triumphant roar erupts, Roma. A surge of Roman legionaries spills onto the rampart as more ladders find their mark. Marcus's comrades are here. A half-dozen Romans clamber over the battlements, swords drawn, and charge the ring of defenders. The defenders, who moments ago nearly had Marcus overwhelmed, now find themselves outnumbered and falter. A short, vicious melee ensues on the wall walk, but the momentum has shifted. Within minutes, the remaining enemy soldiers on that section break and run, or are cut down as they flee. A Roman horn blasts below, a signal that a foothold has been secured. Marcus drops to a knee, dizzy from blood loss, as fellow legionaries rush past him, expanding the breach along the ramparts. He looks up to see the eagle standard of his legion held aloft, its golden wings catching the morning sun. Romans are now pouring onto the walls in unstoppable numbers. The city's fate is sealed. All because one man was willing to be first up the ladder. Hours later, the city lies conquered. Smoke drifts from pockets of fire, and the din of battle has given way to the moans of the wounded and the barked orders of victors rounding up prisoners. In a courtyard below the captured ramparts, the Roman general assembles his troops. The legion forms ranks, dirty and bloodied but exultant in victory. At the forefront stands Marcus, swaying slightly, his arm bandaged. Word has spread of his extraordinary feat, how he alone gained the wall and held off the enemy until others arrived. Even in an army of disciplined Romans, such personal heroism ignites admiration. His fellow soldiers thump their fists to their chests as the general approaches with a small velvet pouch. Opening it, the commander withdraws a golden object, a diadem shaped like a ring of miniature turrets and battlements. A mural crown. The men cheer, and Marcus feels his heart pounding with pride and disbelief. The general places the Corona Muralis on Marcus's head. Centurion Marcus Publius, he proclaims, first over the wall. A thunderous cheer erupts from the entire legion. Marcus, eyes shining with tears he won't let fall, raises his sword high. In this moment, every agony of that climb, every cut on his body, is vindicated. He has earned immortality in the annals of Rome. Such moments were rare, but deeply honored. The Corona Muralis was one of ancient Rome's most coveted military decorations, comparable in prestige to the modern Medal of Honor. It was rarely awarded, sieges were brutal, and often the first man up died in the attempt, meaning no living soldier could claim the prize. The Romans generally did not award military decorations posthumously. You had to survive to receive the crown, which made the achievement even more remarkable. You had to be skilled enough, lucky enough, and tough enough to not only reach the wall first but to live through what came after. When it was given, its impact was enormous. The recipient became a famous war hero, often receiving substantial financial rewards and advancing socially and politically. What started as a desperate climb up a siege ladder could end with a seat in the Senate. This may seem almost incomprehensible today, risking near certain death for honor and a golden crown. But in Roman society, it made perfect sense. Military success was the surest path to recognition and power. Honor was worth dying for. And the virtus displayed by being first over the wall was the purest expression of what it meant to be a Roman man. The practice didn't end with Rome. Throughout the Middle Ages, similar rewards awaited the brave fighters who first stormed castle walls, often knighthood and lands. Only in the early modern period, when warfare shifted toward massed formations and coordinated tactics, did these individual feats of arms become less valued. In the age of pike and shot, discipline and order replaced personal courage as the deciding factor. But in the ancient world, the first man up the ladder wasn't just a soldier. He was the embodiment of his culture's highest ideals: courage, excellence, and the willingness to risk everything for glory. As Marcus is carried away on the shoulders of cheering comrades, we're left with a timeless image of sacrifice and triumph. The blood on the battlements has dried, but the story of the brave man who led the way lives on, a reminder that throughout history, extraordinary rewards have demanded extraordinary courage, and that sometimes, one man's climb could change the course of a battle, an empire, and his own destiny forever.